All right, let's get right into it, okay? I want to talk about why it's so important to do this exercise when you're feeling good, when you're in your power, when your light is shining down and you've experienced some sort of upgrade, you've experienced some sort of um, uh, increase in your awareness and your consciousness. Why it's so important to do what I'm about to tell you, okay? Now, why do we receive this light? Why does the universe, why does God give us this only to take it away? For it to only be here for a moment, a day, a week, a month, whatever it may be. And then it leaves. And then we go back down in this lower vibration into our shadow where more lessons need to be learned. Why? Why is this important? Okay, well, the first thing to know is this, okay? Our nervous system, our body is not adjusted to hold this amount of light, right? So we need to cultivate it. We need to feel it, have our body crystallize it, and then lose it for it to kind of reach its equilibrium. And the ascension process, as we know, is like this, right? So we're constantly like feeling really good, right? Feeling connected to the universe, feeling connected to all things, sense of beauty and easy to love. And then all of a sudden we're not. We can't even love ourselves, right? We can't even be with ourselves. We have all of these stories in the shadow that's coming in. So the first thing to know is that this is the process of ascension. Yeah, it comes and it goes. And in the beginning, it's much harder because you've seen the light for the first time and you're like, yo, this is crazy that this is the world, that the world is this beautiful. And then it's gone and the world is, you don't have that connection. It's very hard to grasp. But with experience comes wisdom. And this is what the universe is teaching us. This is a school. So we're always the student. You understand? So we're not just going to get, hey, here's this bliss forever. That's not the point. The point is learning the process of cultivating it. We are a part. Our energy down here is just a micro fraction of our higher self's energy. We wouldn't be able to hold all that energy. If that higher self came down right now into our body, we'd die. Light is information. Our body wouldn't be able to hold it, wouldn't be able to process it. So it's a slow, here's a little bit, work through it, okay, come back down, let it crystallize, come back up, okay? So that's the first thing. It's like saying if you put a Ferrari engine in a Honda Civic, right? What would happen to that Honda Civic? It would start up, right? It would start up, vroom, vroom, it would go, but it would burn out real quick. It's just not ready to handle that. That's why our body goes through so much. Our nervous system changes when we start to have this awakening. Yeah? But why do we get this light? Why? What's the main purpose? In my opinion, the purpose of why we receive this and why we feel so connected and so good is so that we can get a taste. We can understand what our true nature is, who we really are, and what we're supposed to feel like. And a big part of this lesson in receiving this and understanding, okay, this is my truth, is to understand what we are not. And what we are not is our shadow, is our story, is our programming. Now, that has nothing to do with acceptance and love of it. It is a part of us, but our true nature is we are infinite, completely bliss, joy, love, and light. That's it, man. That's where we started, and that's where we're going after this little game we're playing here on Earth. So when we receive this, it's like the universe saying, it's like the universe is your teacher, and it's saying, okay, here you go. Here's what it's like. Not even until its full capacity. We don't even understand what's capable, which is exciting, right? But here, feel this. Feel this truth. And this is what I want you guys to do, okay? Next time you're feeling really good. I want you to run the stories that you have about yourself when you're in your darkness. When you're in your shadow and you have these stories playing. I'm not good enough here. Who am I? What is this? This I'm never going to be able to do. All of these stories, it stems from all just not being good enough, right? And our stance in the universe and the confusion of who we are. When we are in our light, I want you to run back this programming, okay? Because this is what I do now. I literally do this because when we ascend and we receive more light, we are expanding our awareness. So what does that mean? We're at a new vantage point to look at these stories. That's what ascension is. That's what consciousness is. It's a new perspective of the story. So we're increasing our awareness. Now we're looking at this story from a different place, different vantage point, and we're able to see it for the illusion that it is. Do you feel me? So when we're in our power, when we are in our light, run the story about how you're not good enough, about who you are, about what this is, about what this past situation means, about the potential of your future, all of these things. Run it. Because you will see real quick how flat it falls. How flat it falls. It doesn't even reach the core, the center, the little even. It doesn't even reach your truth. It doesn't even come close. It doesn't even faze you. Because you see it for the illusion that it is. You see it for the illusion that it is. And you walk right through it. And it's just like, it's not like, oh shit, yeah, that feels terrible. Let me fix that. It's just like, doesn't faze me. It doesn't faze me. So the reason I want you to remember this feeling of this story and how it landed when you were in your power, in your truth, in your love. This isn't just some exercise to help you. This is the truth. Because when you are in your light, you are in your truth. Because that's what you really are. So when you are in your truth, run these stories to see if they are illusions. Because they will show themselves. And then, when you fall back into the shadow, which is part of the game, let's accept it and love it. For now, I believe that we are able to hold this light and live heaven on earth. I believe this. But for now, we know that we will dip back and forth, yeah? So run these stories when you're up, when you're in your power, when you're in your light, so that when you fall back down, all of a sudden, the thoughts are coming. It's crazy. You feel, where am I again? The origin of how you're accessing your thoughts are different, right? Like the thoughts are coming in, but it's not landing in this safe place. But then you could say, oh, wait, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I ran this story. I did this simulation. This thing about me that I feel about me is how I feel about this thing, and it's reflection of me. No, that didn't land. Sorry. Didn't land. Didn't feel like me when I was up there. It feels like me now. I get it. I respect that. But I know it's not who I am. I know it's not what I am. I know it does not define me. Because I've ran this simulation. I've seen this. I've played this game before. So then it gives you a new vantage point of your darkness, a new perspective of your darkness, which in essence raises your awareness, which gets you closer to being out of it and learning from it. Because the whole point of healing, the whole point of learning is to learn that none of this is real. Don't you see the paradox? The whole point of healing is that we need to start to heal, to understand that we do not need to heal. Do you see how this works? There is nothing wrong with us. It is just the thought, the idea, the perspective of some trauma that makes us feel like something is wrong with us. Because say you got abused and I got abused, but it's only affecting me and you're fine. Is the abuse the actual problem, or is it the perspective of the problem? And if it's the perspective of the problem, when we increase our awareness, which is what ascension is, then we change our perspective. And when we continue to change our perspective, we understand that perspective itself is an illusion. And we don't need to work so hard to heal ourselves because we are already healed. We are already whole. It is just the idea, the perspective at certain levels of frequency, vibration, of awareness that we feel certain ways about ourselves. So this takes experience, this takes wisdom. I learned this through my own experience, right? Because when I first went through this dark night, the worst ever, right? The worst. Okay? But I got out of it, right? I snapped out of it. This too shall pass. You will snap out of it. You will. If you continue to look inward, you continue to accept, you continue to do the work, to love yourself where you're at, you will. And the faster you can surrender, the faster you'll feel the light again. And then when you feel the light again, run those stories. Run those stories. Run those stories. So now you're using your power to protect against the future shadow. Do you see how this works? Because when you fall back down, you'll run these things again and say, well, okay, I'm not buying it. It'll still feel bad. It's not going to make it feel good, but you are changing your perspective. Where you put your awareness, whatever you put your awareness on is going to grow. So if you put your awareness on the fact that these stories aren't true, that's what you'll feel more of. And then they'll start to leave. Because truth always wins. Do you hear me? Truth always wins. So, start to really consciously take note of how you're feeling when you're up and how you're feeling when you're down. The lesson, I just left an Instagram reel about this, and it could combine it here as I finish this message here, right? When you're in your shadow, man, this is actually amazing. When you're in your shadow, take note of the lessons you've learned. Literally, take note of the lessons you've learned. The little things. I'm not talking about these big childhood trauma things. I'm not talking about these big turning points in your life of your chapter of this pain. I'm not talking about all that. All that, you can do that too. What I'm talking about is, I'm down here in the darkness, right? Well, okay. Look how I found beauty in this. Look how I accepted this. Look how I thought about this. Look at this download. Look at this observation. Look at this way of looking at the world that I learned, because it is only in the pain which we learn how to love differently. So when you're in your darkness, take note, because then when you go back into the darkness, after you take this note, you'll realize the equal exchange of it. You'll realize why we go down there. You'll realize that it makes sense. Okay, look at all these things I've learned. Look at this beautiful process of metamorphosis when I was down there. And if you focus on that, you'll get out of the darkness faster. So take note when you're in the dark, and take note when you're in the light. When you're in the light, take note of the story. Take note of the things that you felt about yourself in your darkness. Run them through your program. Run them through your computer. See if it installs. It won't. It won't. And then when you go back down, remember that feeling. Remember how it felt flat. Remember how you walked right through it. Remember. I love y'all.